Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later, do you feel like you're
Next question.
The reporter never even got to finish the question because he didn't need to. In just 2 words, Angel Reese revealed exactly where the WNBA stands when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And right now, that relationship is changing fast. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA has been impossible to ignore. Millions of new fans, sold-out arenas, record-smashing TV ratings. But just as undeniable is how badly the league handled its golden opportunity. Instead of fully embracing the Caitlin Clark effect, many inside the WNBA pushed back. They questioned the hype, minimized her impact, and even mocked the fans bringing new life into the sport. Rather than seeing Caitlin as a gift, they treated her like a problem. And from the outside looking in, none of it made sense.
But the WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael Jordan.
The success, the mainstream attention, the headlines, the energy, the packed arenas, it was everything the WNBA had spent decades hoping for. They finally had the breakthrough moment, the superstar, the spotlight, the cultural relevance. Real money, bigger salaries, and worldwide attention were suddenly within reach. But there was one catch. Caitlin Clark was the one leading the charge. And for some players, that didn't feel like a celebration, it felt like a funeral. Because Caitlin becoming the face of the movement shattered the dream that the league's longtime veterans would collectively be the ones to elevate women's basketball. And maybe the hardest truth of all? Fans actually did care about women's basketball. They just showed up in massive numbers for Caitlin.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
And yes, Diana, there absolutely are stages to this. Watching the reactions from players and media has honestly felt like watching grief unfold in real-time: denial, anger, frustration, all of it. The whole situation has been messy, awkward, and at times a terrible look for the WNBA. But now something has shifted. A moment that should have been completely ordinary suddenly changed everything. The league now sees exactly where this is heading, and suddenly everyone is scrambling to get on the right side of history. So let's break down what happened. But first, hit like if you're ready to watch the WNBA finally give in to the Caitlin Clark era, and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's rewind for a second.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
By this point last season, Caitlin Clark was already dominating conversations across the WNBA. She didn't just enter the league, she exploded into it. TV ratings tripled, NBA arenas sold out, and jersey sales skyrocketed overnight. Every Indiana Fever game instantly became must-watch television, with fans lining up for hours and resellers charging playoff-level prices for regular season seats.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5.
The jealousy started long before Caitlin Clark ever stepped onto a WNBA court. The hype surrounding her was generational. She shattered the NCAA all-time scoring record across both men's and women's basketball, carried Iowa to back-to-back national title games, and turned every arena she touched into a sold-out event. Then came the draft, no suspense, no debate, just a coronation. She wasn't only the #1 pick. She was the moment. Cameras flashing, sponsors rushing in, media coverage everywhere. And that's when things started getting uncomfortable. The league had seen superstars before: Aya Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Breanna Stewart, all proven champions and MVPs. But none of them arrived with this level of hype. And for some people, that clearly stung. That's when the first stage of grief began: denial. It wasn't just skepticism anymore, it was resistance. Players, media personalities, even league voices immediately tried to downplay the moment before Caitlin ever played a single game.
Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
If Caitlin Clark had entered the league and struggled, even looked average, the old guard would have had their "we told you so" moment. The narrative would have written itself. College dominance doesn't translate to the pros. The hype would have cooled off, media attention would have faded, and the veterans would have felt validated. But that's not what happened. Her debut pulled in 2.1 million viewers, making it the most-watched WNBA game in more than 20 years. Every game after that brought huge ratings, sold-out crowds, and non-stop media attention. Jerseys flew off shelves. National broadcasts followed her everywhere. She didn't just survive the moment, she owned it. And that's when stage 2 arrived, anger.
Voting last season. Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Once it became obvious that the Caitlin Clark momentum wasn't slowing down, no matter how many eye rolls or media criticisms came her way, the response shifted to damage control. Not off the court, but on it. Players got more physical. Hard screens, off-ball shots, unnecessary contact. And the referees? Many times they swallowed the whistle. Game after game, the message felt obvious. Make her uncomfortable, wear her down, force her to question whether she belonged. If the hype wouldn't fade naturally, maybe it could be beaten out of her physically. And for a while, you could see the toll it took. She looked exhausted, bruised, mentally drained. But instead of folding, Caitlin Clark got stronger. After the Olympic break, she returned playing the best basketball of her career, MVP-level basketball. She led the Fever to wins, broke assist records, earned All-Star recognition, and proved the hype was absolutely real. That's when the league entered stage 3, bargaining. This is when people try to make peace with a reality they never wanted to accept. Because deep down, many veterans weren't just losing attention, they were losing the spotlight they once believed belonged to them. So instead of attacking Caitlin directly, they changed the narrative.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
They knew going after Caitlin Clark head-on would only backfire, so they targeted everything around her instead. The fans, the media, the coverage according to critics, those were the real problems. They claimed she was receiving special treatment. They insisted her supporters weren't genuine WNBA fans. And eventually the conversation turned uglier, with some pushing the idea that her popularity existed only because of race. Never mind the fact that she was leading the league in assists as a rookie. Never mind the sold-out arenas, record ratings, and millions of new viewers she brought to the sport. None of that mattered because the story stopped being about greatness and became about bias instead.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
It followed the classic propaganda formula. Repeat something often enough and eventually people stop questioning it. Suddenly, parts of the basketball world were acting like Caitlin Clark wasn't actually talented, just lucky. But if they thought that narrative would slow the Caitlin Clark effect down, they were badly mistaken. Veteran players started lining up to join the Indiana Fever. Not desperate players, experienced champions. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, and Sydney Colson all wanted in. And it wasn't just about the roster or coaching staff. It was about Caitlin. Media personalities like Cheryl Swoops once painted Indiana as a place nobody wanted to play. Even Diana Taurasi referenced those old rumors. But that narrative completely collapsed. Indiana didn't just become a destination, it became the destination. And once that happened, everything changed.
And for the first time in history, WNBA games will be played in the United Center. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on Saturday, June 7th, and on Sunday, July 27th.
First came the arena upgrades. Teams literally moved games into NBA arenas whenever Caitlin Clark came to town because smaller venues simply couldn't handle the demand. Then came the television schedule. Out of 44 regular season games, 41 Indiana Fever matchups were nationally televised. That's not normal exposure, that's complete domination of the spotlight. Networks weren't taking cautious bets anymore. They were going all in on Caitlin Clark. Then the preseason happened, and things got even crazier. An exhibition game sold out a 15,000-seat arena with fans paying hundreds of dollars just to watch warm-ups. The reported average ticket price? Around $650. That's nearly $10 million generated for a preseason WNBA game. At that point, nobody could dismiss the Caitlin Clark effect anymore. It wasn't hype, it was pure business, money, and momentum. Teams started realizing their biggest crowds only happened when Indiana came to town. Sponsors noticed. Broadcasters noticed. Fans definitely noticed. And slowly, amid the sold-out arenas and non-stop marketing push, something new finally started to emerge: acceptance.